Well, politics is our family business, and it's Michael Patrick Shields with you here. So much to talk about this morning. I want to do just a quick second here on sort of a process story, if you will. I kind of stay away from these, but we have a lot of people who are listening who are political junkies and who are on the inside of things that are going on. So Bert Johnson is with us, the senator, and he is nice enough to call in this morning. Indeed, he's from Highland Park, the Democrat, and he's with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Very good. I'm curious to know the situation here with the K through 12 funding. Now we're told that there is something involved in here that the Senator Whitmer has been leaning on one of the Republicans to vote with the Democrats on stalling up that process. Have you heard about that?
I have, and it's really one of the last cards that we can play in order to make the governor. And I go to the governor because this is his budget, his proposal, to really restore some of that cut. We believe that we should have held K through 12 education funding harmless throughout this entire process, that you can't have a systemic investment in education and really tell kids that they're going to go far if they get this good education, but at the same time take the money that supports their education. So it's really one of the last-ditch efforts that we can make to try to short its funding up.
It's Senator Tori Roca, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, the Republican from Sterling Heights, who's refusing to say which way he's going to vote on the budget bill. Senator Whitmer.
And Tori's district really does allow him the opportunity to vote with us. Frankly, there are a number of people in that district who think the way that Democrats do and really have the feeling that we should hold these kids harmless when it comes to education. So, Tori is typically a little coy on the way that he's going to vote, and I don't think it's necessarily politics as much as it might be really him just trying to get a real sense of how he should vote to support his district.
Isn't that where the Reagan Democrats came from all those years ago out there in that Sterling Heights, Warren, Fraser sort of area?
You are absolutely right. Student of history, I see.
So Senator Whitmer's hoping to get him to vote with the Democrats. When will he have to make that decision ultimately?
Probably in the next couple of days, because we are running budgets right now, or the Republicans are running budgets, and in this frenzy to get these budgets done by June 1st, if you will, I think there just have been some real mistakes made. Look, you can have any one party in control of a whole government, and you can get a budget through as fast as you want, but that does not mean that it is the best budget for the citizens across the entire state.
Thought it was pretty funny. Senator Whitmer is quoted in MERS News as saying he's stressed out about it, and that's good. She said,
that is a good thing. Anytime you can sort of attack the conscience of a member and put them in the quandary of trying to do the right thing versus the political thing, that is a good thing. So, tongue-in-cheek as it sounds, she's absolutely right.
All right, nice to talk with you this morning. Travel safely back and forth from Lansing to Highland Park there, and we'll talk to you again soon. Senator Bert Johnson, the state senator and Democrat from Highland Park. There was a fire last week that damaged the home of a Holt High School senior in Dimondale, and it's likely not a coincidence. May 17th, there was a fire that destroyed an early 1900s barn and a garage. Officials say it was about 8 feet from the home. It was a attached garage, and Brett Johnson lives there. Brett Johnson lives there with his mother and older brother. He's 17 years old. And also destroyed was Johnson's mother's car, which was inside the garage. Everybody escaped, and there were no injuries. Johnson, you'll recall, who is expected to graduate at the end of the school year, pleaded guilty last month to 1 count of driving while intoxicated, and that caused the deaths of 2 fellow Holt seniors and a Holt graduate. It was in the early hours of January 30th. Johnson, who had alcohol and marijuana in his system, lost control of his car and struck a tree, killing 3 passengers in his car. He is going to be sentenced on June 8th in Ingham County Circuit Court by Judge Manderfield, and he faces up to 15 years in prison. Recently, he spoke briefly at a pre-prom school assembly as part of a Students Against Drunken Driving group. That must have been a heavy room to be in, no question about that, because the mother of the 3 teens who died in the crash were there as well, and apparently they all hugged Johnson. But somebody has taken out their own measure of revenge, it would seem, because they have determined that this was arson. The Michigan State Police have ruled it arson, and they say it's fortunate that Johnson's mother woke up and heard the fire and called 911. The house was fully engulfed in flames with the occupants inside. Something totally unexpected right there. 10 minutes now before the hour. There was a fella, you'll recall, who took his son to the Detroit Zoo, and then he went to the Tigers game in the evening at Comerica Park. Took the 8-year-old with him. What transpired, though, wasn't a day of father and son bonding, but a whole bunch of trouble. He ended up spending a few days in foster care after being taken out of the custody of his parents, all because of what his father said was an innocent mistake. His father accidentally gave the boy Mike's Hard Lemonade, thinking that it was lemonade, because the vendor advertising says Mike's Lemonade. And so there was a big mistake. And at the end of the ball game, the security guard approached the father and accused him of giving his son alcohol. And so he grabbed the bottle away, and apparently the son, taken in an ambulance to Children's Hospital, he was examined, showed no alcohol in his bloodstream, but nevertheless was put into foster care for 2 days while his parents fought with Child Protective Services to get the custody back. You imagine how startling that would be? Wow. So there was some testimony, I guess, yesterday, and they're going to have a new law that makes child custody cases more transparent. Apparently in the state, there's a problem of over-inclusion, that is reaching out to kids that we shouldn't, and under-inclusion, not taking kids in that we should. Now, that case was eventually straightened out, and Leo was returned to his parents, but it was a nightmare for the family, indeed. And Committee Chair Senator Rick Jones, the Republican from Grand Ledge, held off a vote on the bill, but they are sort of sorting out the situation and trying to make it more transparent in cases where the child is taken away from the parents for 2 days because of a lemonade mistake at Comerica Park. Beware. Can you imagine that happening to you? It's tough to imagine. Speaking of kids, there was a vote yesterday in the House, and that will allow children under 10 years old to be able to hunt. It goes to the Senate now, so we'll see what happens with that one. Stay tuned. It's Michael Patrick Shields.